Start having conversations. We are people and we need each other. Humanity needs each other. We must connect. And now we have more opportunity for communication, and that's an exchange of ideas. That's what communication is, than ever before in the history of humanity. Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Friday episode of A Call to Leadership. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, your host. Every Friday, we have what we call a solo episode where it's just you and I in the trenches working on one specific tool for your leadership tool belt so that you can aim for greatness as you progress as a leader, as you create an irresistible offer of a life for yourself and for those who you are called to shepherd, steward, to serve alongside of as a leader. So it's an exciting time for me, and it's an exciting time to just go through each and every one of these concepts so that I can help you be the best version of yourself you can be. And so we're on a mission with a new series that started last week, what is titled, What Effective Leaders Do. And so focusing on the effectiveness of leadership, you as a leader, what makes your leadership effective versus ineffective? And I'm not even going to use the terminology good or bad. It's really just how can I actually achieve what I discover and influence toward so that we can have massive impact as we share a purpose of the greater good. And so last week we covered money. Effective leaders lead their money wisely. If you haven't heard that, go back and listen to that episode. You definitely want to check it out. And this week, we're going to talk about something else that effective leaders do. Effective leaders walk in self-efficacy. And what does that mean? It's a $5 word. It means that they are efficacious. They focus on what they can do, and they believe that they can accomplish very specific goals and outcomes. And so that efficacy, when you talk about self-efficacy, is really a belief. It's a belief that I have some level of control over my motivation, over my behavior, over my social environment. And so that belief that I have some level of control creates a level of motivation to accomplish things. And so what happens is when I face a high challenge situation, I don't burn out, I engage. I don't walk in misery, I work in mastery. I don't surrender to my context, I overcome and conquer it. That's the mindset. So this belief really has an impact on my effort, because if I don't believe that I can overcome obstacles, if I can't overcome the frustrations and have the tolerance through the frustrations that plague every worthy endeavor, it's going to be difficult for me to muster up the strength to carry on when I feel as though I've been punched in the face. And so the level of self-efficacy I have, and it's also called it's very closely associated with the locus of control, which is the external or internal locus of control. If I believe that external circumstances control what happens versus me having control over what can happen. In other words, I'll give you an example. Someone with a high level of internal locus of control is going to take inventory of when things don't go right. So if you're a leader in a business and one of your subordinates makes a mistake, right? An external locus of control might say, hey, you screwed up, you're a mess up, I can't believe you make these kind of mistakes, it's all your fault. An internal locus of control would have a completely different approach and say, where did I miss creating a system and a process, creating tangible goals, creating an environment where you can thrive, putting you in the right seat to do the type of work that I know you can do, having the right evaluations and feedback so that I can help you thrive. That doesn't mean that it's all on your shoulders as a leader when someone makes a mistake. Of course, people have to take responsibility for their mistakes in your organization. But you see where I'm going with this. It's you as a leader saying, what more can I do to master this context and this circumstance? What more can I do to engage and bring out the very best in my context, my scenario, my setting, my people, my experience? And so it's a completely different focus. And so when an employee, a child, with children, our family, when my child has an issue, the first thing I try to think of, and I don't do it all the time, but I try to think of, what could I have done better? Where is it that I missed it? Maybe, if you have young kids, if you have middle schoolers, if you have teenagers, adult kids, they're all at different stages of life. And I think, well, I've got a teenager right now. And I think, well, where am I missing the interaction that's necessary? Maybe letting a little bit more go for the independence when there's some kind of a disparage. Maybe I need to step back a bit and let things kind of simmer. Maybe I need to get involved more, focusing on what I can be doing rather than just throwing my arms up and saying, well, it's out of my hands. It's all external. All of every piece of control is out in the ether. No, that's not effective leadership. Effective leadership says, let's take an inventory. Let's review. Let's see what we did right. Let's ask questions. Let's reflect rather than deflect. That is leadership that just may be worth following. And so that applies in a family. It applies in a business. It applies in a community. It may even apply at the grocery store. And so this doesn't mean that you're a doormat and then you just take responsibility for everyone else. No, not at all. To the contrary, this simply means that I am secure and confident enough in myself to know that I'm not perfect and that I have room to grow. So if I can focus on where I make mistakes and then take a look at the inventory as a whole, then I may be able to have better solutions. Now, not everybody's like this. And some people may try to take advantage of you because this is your focus. But that doesn't mean that you can't put up solid boundaries either, because you as a leader must put up boundaries so that your vision, your mission, your values is not compromised either. And so what do I mean by that? Well, basically, when I know that I have to accomplish a certain task and I can't accomplish this task unless certain parameters are met, performance parameters, if you will, by myself and all others, then I have to lay those out very clearly. For example, in a business environment, in my firms, I have a non-negotiable that you must have a servant's heart to work with me and to create an experience for all of our clients and stakeholders. And what does that mean by a servant's heart? It means that I care about those who I have committed to helping, not just because it's a paycheck, but because I have a desire to improve the human condition. And so you have to have that as a core value to work with me. It's a boundary that I put up. And so that boundary then defines the relationship I have with you. And so I don't approach our if you will, our contract with misery or with burnout when things don't go right. I say, okay, well, that is a core competency that's met. So then what else is missing? Where did we miss it? Maybe there was something else that I didn't state. Maybe there's somewhere else that I didn't train you. Maybe there's a process or a system that didn't get implemented properly. Maybe there's something going on with you that I need to ask and address. And so that's where we move into a new state than just throwing our arms up and saying, oh, this is hopeless. Because leadership, your leadership, requires a dose of hope. And some people say, well, hope's not a strategy. Of course it's not a strategy. A strategy is a strategy. It's a plan. Hope is not a plan. But hope is an ingredient. It's like fuel. It drives us forward. Hope is the belief in things unseen, right? The things that are in our minds, our vision of the future. Yeah, that's what hope is. Hope's important. It is essential to fuel our drive. And so I don't even know where I was going with that. Where I was going with that is that part of having self-efficacy is having a hope and a belief that we'll find a way. We'll find a way. Maybe we don't have all the resources right now. Maybe we don't have all the tools. Maybe the circumstances have not opened up. Maybe we haven't had what I call a context convergence or conversion. What is a context conversion? Well, a context conversion, some people call it luck, but I call it when the circumstances align in such a way that you have a doorway that opens that allows you to move forward to your intended desired outcome. And this happens all the time. This happens when I've got the financial resources, I've got the people resources, maybe the economy has made a turn, maybe labor or government or you name it, right? All of these pieces align so that it makes a pathway that's straight and I can go through it. All these contexts, what do? They converge. Like I said, some people call it luck. I call it context convergence. And so when you have self-efficacy, you believe that you will be a part of the convergence of these contexts. And maybe it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe in your own life, you're in a place now where you're like, I can never find a job that works. And I'm frustrated. Well, what am I doing positively to engage and to master that situation? Am I educating myself? Am I surrounding myself with people who can help me get in through doors? Am I exercising? Because if I'm not exercising, maybe I'm not feeling my top self. Am I eating right? Am I watching the different job sites? Am I on social media sharing that, hey, I'm looking for work. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I'm not good at. Here's what I enjoy. What am I doing to manufacture, if you will, a way that will continue to move me forward? Because what can tend to happen is I just throw my arms up and I get depressed and I sit in front of the TV and I just wait for something to unfold. It's possible that something will unfold, but it's not likely. In fact, it's more likely that something will unfold if you take steps forward. If you actually move. And you say, Nate, I'm in such a spot right now that I don't even know what my next step is. Well, you're listening to me. That's a step. So my advice is if you're in a tight spot like that, start reaching out. Hey, get online. Say, when I'm at a dead-end job, what are my next steps? Look at different searches. Talk with people who were in that situation. How do I find out? Go to social media. Say, look, has anyone else been in a dead-end job? Has anyone else felt this way? Please let me know. I'd love to talk with you about how you exited that poor situation. Start having conversations. We are people and we need each other. Humanity needs each other. We must connect and communicate. And now is we have more opportunity for communication, and that's an exchange of ideas. That's what communication is, than ever before in the history of humanity. Isn't that amazing? So let's take advantage of it. Let's utilize that. Now, you can over-communicate on the other side of it, and you can have just too much information coming in, and you're going to have to throttle that. And you're going to have to be discerning on what information is most relevant and most important, because that's another factor of effective leaders who have high self-efficacy. They're also able to focus and eliminate distractions to their desired end result. So when you're focusing, focus on where you want to go, your desired outcome, and then begin to work backwards. So for example, I have a desired outcome when I have a leadership seminar. My desired outcome is to have everyone in that experience leave transformed. In other words, I want them to have one aspect of their leadership that is made completely new and different. And I focus on that one thing. And then I work backwards. And then I think, what do I have to do during this time, before this time, to create that experience for them? So for the experience that my students will be having on this next retreat, and I can talk about this because this is going to air during that retreat, and hopefully my students aren't listening to this rather than listening to me at the retreat. I'm taking them to this experience in California, Palo Alto, to study Steve Jobs' leadership. So we're going to different sites. We'll be going to his house, talking about in front of his boyhood home, the first Apple campus, if you will. Just how this mind unfolded regarding the architecture around him, regarding the neighborhood, regarding his friends, regarding all of these different social contexts, and then being there full immersion in ground zero, and then going to different sites and really experiencing how this individual was able to be a part of transforming himself and with the work of others, how we do technology. And I've got a great grand finale, and I'm not going to tell you because just so happens that someone might be listening that day, which creates that environment. So I know along this journey, things won't go exactly as I plan. And so even preparing for this event, there are pieces to it that didn't matriculate. There are individuals who I wanted to have perhaps interviewed, couldn't make it. I had to make changes. Just different things on the fly. And that's okay, because as someone who wants to have self-efficacy, I know that I can control those things, and whatever I can't control, I need to make a move and make a switch. So I did, and I pulled an audible. Even my assistant said, "Are you always changing your mind?" It's like, I'm always getting new data, which helps to inform me on how I have to move forward. And if I have to make a change to continue on that trajectory, maybe I don't go through the tree, maybe I go around the tree, maybe I have to cut down the tree, maybe I put a hole in the tree. Whatever I have to do, I'm getting past that tree. Is that your life? Is that your mindset? And if it's not, you're missing it. You're missing out on the possibilities. Because you may have more control over your own motivation, your own behavior, over your own social environment than you think you do. So now is the time to do some inventory on your own self-efficacy. What happens when I face a high challenge situation? Do I just shrug down and say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to let it be. It just is what it is"? Or do I stand up and I say, "You know what? No. I'm going to fight because this is important. It's worthy," whether it's for my family, whether it's for my friendships, whether it's for my country. What is it that you must fight for? And fight for it. Give it all you got. Step up. And if you're out of energy, it's okay to regroup. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to call a friend, shoot a text out. I have friends often that shoot me texts and say, "Hey man, I'm having a rough day. Could you just think of me or say a prayer or reach out?" You're not alone. And your future is too valuable for you to take a low self-efficacious view on it. Even in this moment, if you're not well, if you're considering that life is just throwing you too many left hooks, tomorrow's a new day. What I love about tomorrow is it's brand new, never been used. I get to start over. You say, well, my problems are still here tomorrow. That's okay. Because all we have to do is be alive. Because if I'm alive, that means all is not lost. I'm still here. And so, that's how I wake up every morning. I'm still here. God, my work's not finished here yet. And so day by day, if you're in a tough spot, reach out to others, find ways to move forward through your own effort and through the effort of others. Believe. That's the first step. Believe that you can overcome, and then take action and keep taking action. Your beliefs have such an impact on your end state, on your outcomes. My beliefs, what I believe, has tremendous impact. What I have faith in has tremendous impact. And so don't discount the power of belief. Don't discount the power of faith. Don't discount the power that you have right at your fingertips. So that, my friend, is one more tool for your leadership tool belt. Don't ever underestimate the power of belief that you can control your own motivation. Rise it up. You can control your own behavior. You can control your social environment, and you can move forward each and every day. Well, my friend, that's it for this episode. I can't wait to see you next time. I'm Dr. Nate Sala, and this is A Call to Leadership. Well, my friend, I am so thrilled that you joined me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. And before you go to the next episode, especially if you're binge listening, take a moment. I would love to get your honest review right here on your screen. Your feedback is so important. It helps the podcast. It encourages me, and it helps me. It helps me to give you more and more and more value. So I can't wait to read your review. I can't wait to be with you on the next episode. I'm Dr. Nate Sala. This is A Call to Leadership.